I want to be brutally honest in this episode. I want to brutally honestly tell you what these versions of me had to and should have heard. I want to give advice to the past versions of me, and the way I'm going to do that is by literally going through my iPad and finding photos of myself and talking to that version of me and giving that version of me advice from this perspective now. And the interesting thing about this is I'm sure in 10 years from now, I could be giving the same type of advice to the version of me that's where I'm at right now in my own journey. And what I want to do is kind of hopefully maybe some of you are at different levels of your journey or can find a reflection in the different, stages that I've been through on my own spiritual journey to maybe inspire you or to see how you can either give advice to somebody else or not even, it's not even really about giving advice, but I kind of want to authentically share this journey of spiritual awakening, and not just spiritual awakening, but manifesting my dream life. As I was going through my iPad just 5 minutes ago before I started this camera, I was getting really nostalgic because I remembered the come up. I remembered how excited I was to be making videos. I have these photos of me just scribbling on this whiteboard, all these different ideas. And I remember how exciting I was. I had said higher self versus ego. And it said manifesting a specific person and all this stuff that back in the day I used to make videos on. And it's very interesting for me to see these other versions of me because I feel like I can directly talk to that version of me and tell where I was feeling and where I was at those times. And to be honest with all of you, I want to be brutally honest in this episode. I want to brutally honestly tell you what these versions of me had to and should have heard that may have been harsh, that I may have been sensitive to, but also just to kind of share, on this journey of success and transformation and abundance, I definitely have nostalgic moments where, when I was on my come up and I was starting to become successful, it was so exciting. And it's growth, and it's always finding new ways to get videos to resonate with people, and it was so much about the passion. But then what happens is I start to build this big thing, and all of a sudden the goal for a long time was to get to 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. Then the goal was 500,000. Then the goal was 1 million. And then once getting that goal, it's interesting because then an interesting shift happens in the energy where it goes from how can I grow and become the best version of me and help as many people as possible to how can I preserve what I've created. It goes from growth mode to preservation mode. How can I get as many views as I used to get? How can I, and I sometimes compare myself to the past version of me because I'm realizing that my passion is sort of shifting. More of my energy nowadays goes to my podcast. It goes to live events. It goes to helping people transform. My intentions have changed, and sometimes I feel guilty. I should maybe not be. I need to keep the grind going on YouTube because that's what originally brought me success. And sometimes I can tell I have these outdated belief perspectives of where I still believe I need to work really hard to be successful, and it's hard for me to let go of that control. And that's what I deal with today. I deal with a challenge of letting go of control because I've created everything I have, my dream lifestyle. I have this house in Austin now. I still have a house in Sedona, which I may keep or I may sell, and I'm going back and forth, and it's cool, but it's got a little more complex, and sometimes I want to simplify. But at the same time, I can just feel that because my life has got more complex, there's more for me to hold up, and there's more drive, but also trying to preserve what I've created. It's very interesting. But anyways, let me go through some of these photos, and I want to share with you just where I was at this journey. And I'll also give you a timeline. I'll share with you dates of these different things. So back in, if I looked at these photos, there's this one photo that was March 29th, 2012. So March 29th, 2012, I started to go through my spiritual awakening. Now, this photo is I kind of look like an idiot. I'm wearing these headphones, and I'm doing this dumb face, just having fun. It's at exactly 4:44 p.m. too. on March 29th. I wonder if I took that photo because it was at 4:44, or if that was just the coincidence. But when I look at this version of me, I was working at Barney's. No, I was working at Nordstrom's in women's shoes, and I was living at my mom's house with my mom and her husband at the time, who we lived in the middle of nowhere in Las Vegas. Now there's a place called Sloan, Nevada. Sloan, Nevada is a couple miles south. It's not a city or anything. It's just like an area. There's something called the M Resort, so it's still considered Vegas, but it's a little bit more south. And we lived it was a cool house. It had a workshop in the back. It was a 1-story house, had 2 master bedrooms. So I had a whole bedroom on one side of the house, and then my mom and her ex-husband, and then my brother and my sister lived on the other side of the house. And I had my own bathroom. I had my own I was close to the kitchen and the garage, and it was just really cool. We had like a little basketball. We had a little like concrete thing with a light, so we'd play basketball till late at night, my friends and I. And my friends would come over. We'd smoke a whole bunch of cannabis, and we had a trampoline that was behind a tree that we'd lay on and look at the stars at night. And that's right when I started going through my spiritual awakening. And when I look at this version of me, it was kind of in the beginning of my spiritual awakening too, where I was starting to come to certain conclusions about myself, about reality, and I really started to question things. But I can tell that this version of me is very, honestly, kind of lost. This is right before my spiritual awakening. This version of me is kind of lost and feels a lot of resistance. Like I feel this like itchy irritability, like I'm working a job that I'm not passionate about. And I'm going to work every day, but I know it's not what I want to be doing long term. And the advice that I have, or what I would tell this version of me, is that this feeling of stuck and this feeling of itchy irritability is like a really good sign. Like it means that where I'm at, I'm becoming not content with, and the stuckness is me realizing that I want to be somewhere other than where I'm at. And that's a reflection of the awareness that something needs to shift, that something needs to change, and that there's something coming soon. Now, I know this because I'm on this part of the timeline where I can see this version of me, but if any of you are listening to this and you feel stuck, or you feel like an itchy irritability, like you don't want to be where you're at, or you want to escape, you wish you could just run away from it all, just know that that's a good sign. It means there's some type of transformation coming. For me, it was a change in so many ways. My whole life changed. Very short period of time, my energy began to shift. I started meditating. It made me search for more. So realize that some level of shift is coming from you. Either it's going to be an energetic shift where you go deeper in yourself, your own level of awakening, or it's getting you to take action to do something that you haven't done before. So that was what I would have told that version of me. Now, as I scroll down, I see a whole bunch of photos from the Grand Canyon. This is back in, when was this? This was June 28th, 2012. So June 28th. Now, this is really when my spiritual awakening started. I went to this place it was a Hopi tribe that my dad took me to with my sisters. And in this trip, we went to the Grand Canyon. We saw amazing views. We drove there from Las Vegas. I'm even going to show you guys this. Now, what happened is we go to this Hopi tribe, and I see all these amazing pieces of art that are on the ceiling, and there's like obviously UFOs in these photos and different symbology, and there was something about it that just activated me, and I couldn't even describe it. I remember going on this trip, and I had like a vape pen because I couldn't like not smoke weed for a couple days, and I always felt so guilty. Like my dad was not cool with cannabis, so I brought this like vape pen, and I remember I planned on smoking it, but I was staying in the same room as my brothers, my two sisters and my dad. So I was like, I left the room one day to go like smoke in nature, but I felt so guilty about it that I didn't do it. And I ended up just being sober the whole time. And I was with my dad driving there, and I ended up, as I was on my way there was something that activated inside of me, and this is June 28, 2012. It says the basic Illuminati structure and its relation to cooperating bodies or something like that. And I was reading about David Icke. I started going down this conspiracy theory rabbit hole, and there was something about it that began to really intrigue me. And it is dark. When you go down the conspiracy theory rabbit holes, it can be pretty dark. And at this time, I didn't understand what was happening, but there was something that activated inside of me. And from that point, I became like a researcher. I started researching everything. I started researching the whistleblower things about the government. The Illuminati became very fascinated with me. At this point, I also realized that there was somebody that was in my life that was a Freemason, meaning they were kind of a part of somebody. There was somebody that I know very well that was a part of the Freemasonry or some like level structure of the Illuminati. So I became fascinated by it, and I started studying it. And this person to get into it had so many there were so many levels to this kind of stuff. And it was fascinating to me because I knew that there was some level of truth to it or some level of like secrecy to it. So I started focusing and I started studying on this kind of stuff. So I started to also become very interested in extraterrestrial information because I hope you guys enjoyed that little segment from my podcast called the Aaron Doughty Podcast. If you want to listen to the rest of that episode, click the link below. You'll see it on iTunes and Spotify. You can download episodes. It's so easy to listen to. You can do it while you're working out, while you're driving. It's so convenient. And that's where new episodes go live every Tuesday and Thursday. Every single week, I have guests coming on the podcast. I have solo episodes, and we go really deep. This is really a place where I get very personable, and I share more about things I'm thinking of. I share my top book insights, and you can check it out and subscribe below, and you will see it there. So iTunes, Spotify, listen to the rest of the episode below as well, and I hope you guys enjoyed. And as always, I'll see you guys on the next episode. Peace, much love, and namaste.